Moving on, is that all on the part? The discussion on the early retirement policy, you had a chance to look at that. Any questions, comments, concerns? I know they visited with our WLBA board meeting on Monday, I think, was talked about. There was no action, but there was some discussion.
The cost of a single policy is what?
It's about $4,600 or something. $4,600 to $4,800.
Well,
$400 a month.
That's way over 5 if that's the
Premium
Iowa
final.
Select.
Yeah.
The ones that are paying now.
That's not what is it?
I'm sorry, but
$433.90.
the ones that are paying now pay $433.97 a month.
Yeah.
I don't know what point.
I was bet. That's what we're about. The reason why I get on that is because I'm not working overtime on this one, and I was wondering what would get the individual interested if they're really wanting to get out of teaching, and you know, at whatever age they wish, and in the younger years, that insurance isn't a little item. It's a huge item. And I didn't know if in a business of having 10%, 15% or 20% or 25% payment until they retire, is that so prohibitive, or is it just...
We're urged by school attorneys not to provide it in terms of insurance because that's earned income, and there are just issues related to that this whole early retirement thing is very sticky with. In fact, schools have had issues with paying toward health insurance. Now, what we can do is we can convert a number. Let's say that you offer them $13,500 for early retirement. We can say that's the equivalent of X numbers of months of health insurance. That would get you till, you know, so let's say I was 65 and I took that. And I wanted to get to Medicare, and then how much more of my, you know, a person, we can work them through that so that financially, so that they can see what that would look like. But by far, the safest and cleanest way for both the employee and the school is that there's a lump sum amount that's offered to them. Very few schools to insurance, and there's issues, there's just a lot of financial issues related to that honestly I do not want us to be involved with.
Anyway, I think the reason why it's because basically what we're saying is that for those individuals that are 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, the insurance would just keep them alive. And so, for all practical purposes, they can't do it. And you're just eliminating them from that particular proposal because unless they got a job on the other end, it's going to pay them.
At $433 a month, we're talking about $5,200 state for insurance. About $5,200 for a year for health insurance through our insurance plan at school. So $13,500, for example, would give them more than 2 years of health insurance coverage if that's what they chose to use it for, as an example. You know, if they were not Medicare eligible.
So a person basically at 63 would get away with this sort of.
And remember the last time that the district used it, the retirement incentive was $13,500. If you look at the list of employees, there are seven employees that would be eligible for a policy that says at least 55 years of age and 20 years of service to the district.
Have you heard any staff talk about this at all?
Actually,
break it up?
I had a Wall Lake Government staff member talk to me today, came in and talked to me today about it, and she just said, I heard that the two boards are talking about it, and she would be one of the 2 people at Wall Lake Government. So she said, is that going to happen? She was just asking questions about it, and I said, well, once we get further, I'll meet with, you know, what I usually do is sit down and meet with all the staff that are eligible, so we can see some questions that they might have. The items that are in bold are really the things you have choice about. The age, don't put a cap on the age of age discrimination or lawsuits in Iowa that occurred because of that. The 20 years could be any number of years you want. You know, it could be 17, it could be 22, it could be whatever number you want that to be. I would say typical is 20 or 25 is what's usually typical. And that's service in the district, not total years of teaching, but service in the district. December 23rd, you understand, it's the end of the first semester. And so the idea there is that we know, so that we know what we're looking for when it comes to contracts for the following year. What kind of reductions we're going to be looking at, or if we need to have any. And then the only other item is the actual dollar amount.
When would be the latest that we would approve a early retirement? And still
I would suggest
shoot for this
the August or
deadline?
September meeting. It'd be great to put it on that joint board meeting, but that meeting's getting, the agenda's getting long. Because it'd be great, because it seems as if both boards want it to be the same policy, which would make sense. I think, am I right, that you're probably down to the dollar amount is the, because I'm guessing the 55 is okay. I haven't heard anything negative about the 20 years of experience. Or the December 23rd, or the payout to the 20th, that has to happen. But the dollar amount is probably the piece that boards would need to come to agreement on.
So if a person could retire on Social Security at age 66, basically we're talking about 2 years. Just to make sure in my mind, I'll really think through these things, that we're talking about individual basis 63 or 64, if they can financially make it to that. Social Security 66. Social Security. Yeah. Because it's now.
It'd be 66 now?
66 now.
Really?
It's going up month by month.
72 here,
Yeah.
for minimum.
What did we offer last time?
13.5.
Oh, okay, that's the number we don't.
Donate. No way.
Well, like you offered 12.5, and Zach offered 13.5, so I just put Zach in there as, because it was the higher.
Okay.
If someone from All Lake View said, well, I thought we offered 12.5, and I said, you did, but if they're gonna be the same, we aren't gonna probably go backwards, so.
Didn't you put somewhere what the average was, or a range for schools or society?
It'd probably be a little closer to 18,000. The other thing that you'd need to consider would be there are 7 eligible people. Are you prepared for all 7 to retire? Are you talking about?
Are you prepared for that?
Yes.
We don't have to be something
You can kind of manipulate it to fit, to knock out,
I don't think that happened.
keep 5 in there. I mean, if you put minimum of 60 years old, that it takes care of. I mean, that's all where we're sitting now, and if we got to do reductions and need it, I mean,
Yeah.
it's time to bring it back.
The 2 people that are eligible at Well Lake View Auburn, changing it to 60 years old doesn't take, they're still in the pool.
They're still all.
Yeah. Their group of teachers are like the 60, 61, 62, then it's like a couple of 58s and a couple of 54s and a couple of 50, they kind of drop by 2-year increments and a couple of teachers in each of those.
About, how does it work if it's a shared position? Does this district that holds the contract stand the whole amount, or does it a shared deal?
I don't know that. I don't know that.
That's the
That's a good question.
Of the people on this list, the 3rd person down isn't a shared contract, but we currently just bill each other. It's not a 2080 contract. The bottom 3 are all 3 shared contracts on that list. The rest of them are either SAC teachers, or one of them, well, like the other provides a part of a contract, so different than a 2080 teacher where we actually split by the rate sharing agreement. I will
Well,
find
then we better
out.
probably talk about it at our joint meeting. We're talking about shared costs on the
And neither one of
retirement.
the 2 that are eligible in Well Lake View Auburn, they're both elementary teachers, so neither one of them are part of the sharing. But I'm going to find out about shared teachers.
Last time we were looking at some reduction in courses, and we offered this. How many did we have? 2.
2 that took it. I don't know how many are eligible.